only like that. Hi, good evening. It's a pleasure to be here in front of you all, and we're going to talk about interior design as a profession. Um, it's interesting to know that um, interior design is a so interior design is a very wonderful and a noble profession, and there are certain traits that you need to understand in case if you are really willing to do interior design as a profession. So let us understand what all is involved in interior design. It is not just where we're talking of some decoration of a wall or a corner of a house, or we're just talking about paints. Of course, that's a part of it, but the picture is much larger than that. So what you understand is that um, first is aesthetics. So when I say aesthetics, I'm talking in all the perspectives of aesthetics, where I'm talking of anything that I'm going to use while doing the interior design. It must be aesthetically pleasing. It should be functional, and it should look like something which is very thoughtfully being placed at a certain place. Now, once we talk of this aesthetics, there are a lot of things that fall into place. So, second, on the second place, I would like to put up as color scheme. Color schemes are very important. They are basically the mood definers. So, when I go to a room which is which is in a very light and beige color, I see that, or I feel that I'm in a very lively place. A place where a lot of light and ventilation is coming, I would feel very pleasing there. Whereas if I really compare this to a room which is a little dark in color, a little dingy, I may not feel very comfortable there. So my comfort level is in a place which is very lively, which has light colors, which has maybe some other colors, but something which is really apt for that place. So like if I go for an extreme example, that I talk about a discotheque, and I do very light and warm colors, maybe that doesn't work. So there, dingy dark colors are more apt, because I need to give the lights, I need to give the effects where people would really love to enjoy that place. And um, colors also play a psychological impact on a lot of other aspects. So light is what I talked about, mood is what I talked about. The combination in terms of appliances is what I would mention. Nowadays you have a lot of designer fans, so colors of the fan, your air condition, your switches, and so many of them. So it becomes very important for you to understand that it is not only the colors, but the psychological impact that it is impacting you with, because it is something that you want to see every day. You when you enter into the room, you just don't enter the room and then you keep your eyes mum or closed rather, and you walk out. No, indirectly you are the walls, the colors, the ceiling, everything is relating to you. So colors are important. Then this person who's interested in interiors have to be technically sound. So we've been talking about colors and aesthetics, as my first and second point, and now I'm talking, the person has to be technically sound. Now why do I say that? Because that is very important. It's like a body. So my face and my glow is because my internally my body is absolutely fine and I'm doing great. But if it is not, then my makeup doesn't work for a longer time. So it's the same with the interior design. So technically sound means that you have to know how AC works. How is the drain pipe working, what capacity of AC should be there, how the wiring is being done, what's the layout for the wiring. There are a lot of AI is being integrated nowadays in various houses. So um, um, this integration is important because all this is technology. So when you involve all this in the technology, um, you need to understand how the motor is being fixed, how the wi-fi connection is going to get involved. Is it going to get connected through the bluetooth? Will there be a separate system for it, or is it all going to get installed on the mobile? So you have all these options available, but it's important to understand what aspect are you looking at. That's something which is very, very important. Give me 1 second, I'll just be back. Just give me a second. Sorry. All right. So then when I say AI, I would also like to mention that you need to go with the trends. Trend is like a wave. So it goes, it comes, sometimes it again comes back after a period of time with certain level of modification. And you need to understand that the space that you're working for, how long is that space going to be the same? Like, for example, if I talk about a restaurant, generally it is observed that after 5 to 6 years, restaurants undergo certain level of renovation. So that basically means that they will have to follow that wave of trend. Because you have new customer coming up, they would expect more guests to walk in and see. um, and but if you compare this to a residence, it is not something where a person likes to kind of do every 3 years, every 5 years. There is sometimes it's a longer gestation, provided the person who has worked for it has really put in effort, that this person who's going to stay, it is as per his taste, he doesn't get bored out of it, and he stays there for a and he likes that taste for a very, very long time. So we have a question here. So first of all, hi, Mr. Om Mathur. Thank you for joining us. Then we have a question: is formal education required uh, for intern? No, I think internship is something different, and a formal education is something different. You need to have a very clear categorization between the two. Formal education is something that we're talking where you're getting some degree or some diploma, and whereas when you talk of an internship, it is a part which is in due course of the time of your education, that you go to some office and you work under them, and you understand um, the practical aspects of the profession. So that's how the interior design and this is these two are related. So I'll get back to the traits that are really required for interior design profession. So the next one that we're going to talk about is scale and proportion. Scale and proportion is very important because uh, it's basically a three dimension that we are talking about. So with respect to the human scale, I'm talking in terms of the wall dimensions, in terms of the height, in terms of the uh, ceiling. Um, Out of my personal experience, I would say that a lot of times when we go to a commercial buildings or sometimes a restaurant, the ceiling is very low there. because I think they try to make more number of floors, so they reduce the height. But to my understanding and to my psychology, somewhere I personally feel that um, uh, it's not a very comfortable thing. So if you compare the situation where a person is sitting something some in a height of about 15 feet, 17 feet, of course, with horizontal dimensions in the right proportion, you feel much more comfortable. The same space looks bigger. You have a different feeling altogether. It doesn't look like a very, very claustrophobic thing. So, scale and proportion plays a very important role. So, there are a lot of people who have this understanding of scale and proportion. And, just at this sight, they understand, that this is the kind of scale and proportion that we are talking about. And then, the internal spaces look very nice with it. Next, we have services. When I talk of service, I think we just mentioned about air conditioning, but then I would also like to add upon, plumbing is a very important service because you also do washrooms and bathrooms. Electric is very important service. Air conditioning nowadays, I would say, is very, very important. And then all these artificial intelligence and all these things, making intelligent building, green buildings, energy efficient, a lot of technology is involved into it, so that these buildings become self-sufficient and all that. uh, Not only understanding of these aspects technically, but also understanding these aspects, uh, with respect to the development that is happening in various other um, companies, because these companies are the ones who um, come up with the latest products, um, and they keep and they keep the whole product updated. uh, all right, so we have this question now from somebody. I have 2 years of experience and want to enhance my knowledge. What should I do? So, enhancing knowledge is like two aspects to it. One is that, you take a formal education, or if you have a formal education, you can further upgrade this to a different level. Uh, as I say, upgrade, it could be a postgraduate program, it could be a research program, it could be a funded program. And uh, when I say enhance, you can also go for specialized subjects. So lighting could be a specialized subject. Materials is a specialization. Interior furnishing and interior finishing is another interesting subject. So you can expertise yourself in that. And another way is that you can go for an informal education. Now, informal education would be that you can join some office, do your internship there, work there for some time. You can take some assignment for the site. Then you can go to the site, and you can learn things there and observe how the drawings of interior designer are being executed on the site, what kind of interaction is happening with the client to the um, with the vendor, from vendor to the designer, and so on and so forth. So it becomes very, very important to practically see how the aspect is being considered when you are talking of enhancing of your knowledge. But however, I appreciate, that's a good question. Next aspect that I would like to put upon is uh, the presentation skills. Now, presentation skills are very, very important because um, in presentation is the mode in which you are actually going to um, deliver your idea to the client. You're going to expose yourself um, to various people, where you have to create a sense of uh, acceptability in their mind. You need to understand what's their criteria in terms of their design brief, and are you able to cater to that or not? That becomes very, very important. So when you talk of presentation, It actually talks about how well you sink in their idea into your mind, and how well you are able to present that to the client in terms of um, clear, in terms of the clarity that he's looking for. And I think if you're able to do that, it's like half job done for you. Next, I'm going to talk about various details. Now, when I say details, um, I basically mean, at micro level as well as macro level. So let me categorize these two. Where with an example of a kitchen, so when I'm doing a kitchen drawer, generally you do modular kitchens now, so you have a channel, on which this drawer is going to slide. So that, on that particular scale, is a macro detail for me. But now when I talk of a micro detail, I would also like to discuss, that these channels are of which brand, what's the size, what kind of screw is going to get into it, what's the property of this channel, is it a soft close, is it a normal close, or does it have any other feature, what's the warranty, and so on. So I must have this ability to cater to myself, to understand that I need to know that particular hardware or a particular company or a particular brand is actually dealing in this kind of specification. So micro and macro, both details are important. So you need to have a strong interest in order to upgrade yourself on I would rather say on a daily basis, so that you can really um, uh, absorb these things in your mind, and can then further suggest to the client, so that you do justice to him and you're able to suggest him the latest things which are available in the market. That is something that you need to develop the interest out of it. Next is it your hobby? Okay, so we have a question from Mr. Gupta. I'm sorry, I'll keep on taking these questions in between. Can I do 3 years of diploma, or should I do 2 years of diploma? Okay, so I would also add to this that there is 1 year diploma as well. So you have 1 year, you have 2 years, and you have 3 years. Now, you know, the difference in the three is that in 1 year diploma, you don't get into that much of detail. In 2 years diploma, you go into a little bit of detail. And then when you talk of 3 years diploma, you do um, get into a lot of detail, which is important. And that's the highest, I think, tenure for any diploma. And then, I mean, of course, there are degrees also, which is like, you have 4 years of bachelor's of design degree, and you have 5 years of bachelor's of design degree, and I think there are 3 years of design degrees as well. So coming back to this question, can I do 3 years diploma, or should I do 2 years? I think it's totally upon you. There are a lot of students who do 2 years of diploma, and then 1 year they would like to spend in an internship or go to an architect's office, and they would spend time there, and believing that they would gain more experience practically and hands-on. So yes, I mean, it's, I think, totally your choice. But yes, 1 or 2 years is important, because that's where you will understand how to read the technical drawings, how to make the technical drawings, what all softwares are important. So it will cater to that. Okay, so we have this question. Um, which college should I join? All right, now that's again very interesting question that comes up. We have done a video where we are talking of good colleges with respect to various cities and states as well. So if you have subscribed our channel, you can go through that, and you can have a list of colleges, and then you can go through the website and select the colleges. This detailed video talks about what all parameters you should see before you join the college, and that will really give you a good insight. So please, I mean, I will not really get into those details in this live session, but you will definitely get the insight from that video. So please do that. Important Another important aspect is how passionate you are, because when you're doing this interior design, it is not only one thing that you are catering to. You have client, you have vendor, And when you talk of vendors, you have carpenter, you have painter, you have um, plumber, you have electrician, you have a finishing person, you have material vendors, and so on. So the list is very very long. So unless you are passionate, it will be very difficult for you to really you know tie these all people together for your project. And these vendors will be coming to your office, you will be explaining them the drawings, they would be understanding it, they will again come up with a doubt. And sometimes they really come up with a lot of good ideas also. So I think you should have a very high acceptability to really take on their ideas. And if there could be a development in the design, I think you should really do that. There's absolutely no harm at all. So now, that was the first part of the live session, where we were just talking about what kind of traits one person needs to have, and what's the broader perspective of interior design as a profession. Now the second aspect of the video is that, uh, is it really interesting and is it really exciting for you? So, but before we do that, we have a question here which says, does this course needs too much of sketching? Oh, that's wonderful. So, sketching has been really important aspect of it. But when you say, do we really need it? I think it really makes your work faster. So I would not say that, if you don't have a good sketching, you cannot do this course. Of course, you can do, because there are a lot of softwares, a lot of 3D softwares, a lot of technology which is available. So, you can definitely go without that, without the sketching. But, if you have good sketching, it becomes a lot of added advantage, because, in order to explain it to your team, to the client, to the vendor, it's like, even on site, sometimes, we have to sketch it on the wall itself, and the picture becomes very clear to the person who's doing um, doing the execution on site. um, so I think sketching plays a very important role in order to save the time, in order to control the in order to give clarity to the vendor or to the person who's executing in a much much lesser time. So we have another question, that what is your opinion about the courses which are as per industry requirement? About the courses which are as Okay, so I think any course that we are talking about must be oriented towards the industry, because at the end of the day, you have to serve in the industry. So you cannot say that, I am out of the box. So so again, that video that I was talking about, I have actually mentioned that when you select a college, it must have certain parameters which you must look into, because when you pass out, there are certain traits that your profession would look for, your employee would look for, your office would look for, your colleagues would look for. Even when you partner yourself with somebody for a firm or something, they would look for. So definitely the course must be oriented towards the industry. And whether you're doing a 1 year course, 2 year course, 3 year course, 4 year course, or a 5 year course, or you're going for a PG, you must have practical exposure time on time, so that you exactly know that you're in the right direction. And after you graduate, after you pass out your diploma or whatever, you are competent enough to get absorbed for the job, or to start your own practice. So that's something which is a wonderful question, and I think it has added up to the whole live session. Probably I would have missed this point, but thank you for putting up that questions. Uh, there we have another question which says, can we do it as part time? Oh yes, you can definitely do it part time. In fact, a lot of people do it as a part time. There are a lot of places where these courses are done in the evening or in the morning, so you can definitely go there and continue with your own job, and then gradually develop this as your practice or something. So it's of course very very common practice. You can definitely do that. There's absolutely no doubt about that. So we are on the second aspect of the video. So what is so interesting and exciting about the profession? So I will now quickly go through this. One is, every site is different. So it's like diametrically opposite to the mathematics question. So when you do mathematics question, if the answer is, let's say, 10, everybody should get answer as 10, otherwise it's not correct. But if you give a site to a designer, or say, let's say you give the same site to 10 designers, all 10 designers will do different designs, because of their background, their psychology, and a lot of other things. So it is going to be never same. Second, every client is different. So when I say 10, you have 10 designers and you have 10 projects. Now the client is different. So when the client is different, the requirements are different. So when requirements are different, your design is going to be different. When design is going to be different, the approach is going to be different. When approach is different, the overall and outcome is going to be very different. So it's important and to understand that your clientage is something which is not going to be same in terms of their requirement, design, and their taste. So you need to cater to all of them together. Then we have the passion to explore new materials, because that is going to be one side, that is going to be something which is going to be there. And um, everybody is now going to demand for the application of new and latest things which are going to be in the market. Then we have visualization of design. So when I cater something in my mind, I should be able to put that up across in terms of 3D to the client, because it's very difficult for clients to understand 2D designs. So adapting yourself to new softwares, to new technology, to new demands is very important. Next is working as a team. So you must have the ability and capability to work with so many people uh, who are going to make your project successful. Air conditioning team, plumbing team, electric team, painters team, carpenters, your visual arts, your other forms of metal arts or CNC arts, etc. Your glass vendor, your hardware vendors, your cement suppliers, your other raw material suppliers. So the list is on, and you're going to be one anchor point where you would be uh, holding them all together, and you are the one who will be deciding as to which aspect you have to consider to. Next point is, are you interested? I mean, this is the last point that I'm talking about. Are you really interested in traveling and looking at various buildings from inside? This is something very important. So from history to the medieval time to very contemporary designs, and I would also add up the latest designs. You will have to visit these buildings, sink in yourself, understand the philosophy and psychology of this, and you need to also kind of pick up good aspects which you can implement in your design, of course, as per the requirement of the client and the project. But it is important for you to really cater to all these aspects if you really want to be a good designer. So I have another question, and I think this is the last question for today's live streaming. Can a student of any stream can do interior? Oh yes. So as of now, we've been very fortunate that students from any stream can do interior design, and if they have these traits that I've talked about in the last 25-30 minutes, you can really become a good interior designer. In fact, there are a lot of examples across the world. If you search online, that even a lot of interior designers did not had a formal education, but out of their passion, out of their taste, out of their strong will and desire, they became very successful interior designers. With that, I would like to end up today's session. Thank you so much for being with us. I would be again coming back on Sunday 7:15 a.m., and we're going to talk about design, and we'll float the flyers about the topic. We look forward to have more interactions. Thank you so much. Thank you for being there.